it's the age-old issue, isn't it? If you've got a e-commerce client that's established, they've probably got a decent budget. But if someone's newer or smaller, they'll often be in this situation where they just want to test the waters. I find this situation really difficult, and I'll be honest with you, I always skirted away from it, and I went for established. We've got 10 grand to spend, we've got 20 grand, we've got 50 grand, because that's actually a lot easier than someone in this situation who's got $500, which is really difficult.
It's a business reality that most of the e-commerces have, especially when you're smaller or early staged, meaning in a lot of cases that you are bootstrapped, you're self-funded, you have only the founder's own capital to invest, or you have the revenues that the e-commerce business is generating that you can reinvest on. Meaning the bottom line, your cash flow is tight, and therefore the media budget that you receive is limited as well. And that's, of course, where the tension starts. The challenge or the root problem is that you have a small budget to invest. But on the other hand, the best practices, many videos you see and can find, is a lot of the times the assumption is made that you already have a lot of budget to invest in, and we are talking really about the moment before that. So before starting to scale, what is key is that you firstly need to decide on what to scale first. It's not about the campaign structure in this moment. It's really about what do we choose, because maybe to clarify, the tension comes when you have a small budget to invest in advertising. But on the other hand, you have an e-commerce business with a lot of product SKUs that you ideally want to advertise on. There are 4 pitfalls that I come across a lot of the times, and I want to spend a little more attention to it, because that will clarify a lot of the problems that you will encounter later on. When you launch a campaign, it's almost like you feel like you're in an opening party, but the morning after, there is a big disappointment, especially when they say to you, I expected more, I expected the sales to double, I expected growth instantly. All those kind of things are a big signal that there is a misalignment between what realistically the advertising can achieve with this small budget, and then of course with the ambitions of the client, because ambitions are always high and big, bigger than the moon, and etc. When you use the one-size-fits-all approach, especially in campaign structure, I have here for you an audit that I performed. It was actually one holding company that had 3 e-shops, and those 3 e-shops were all in the same industry and in the same country. And also basically the same products in there. And as you can see, the approach of the campaigns was mostly PMAX, a bestseller campaign, a selling brands campaign, and a discount campaign. But the outcome was totally different, from very, very poor performing to good performing, and then something in between. Now, what actually was the reason for these misaligned performances was because behind it, the strategy of this company was totally different. So they wanted to have a different positioning to different target audiences with let's say another combination of products. But actually the website was not redesigned onto those different positionings. They had more or less data qualities, feed quality issues. There was one web shop that had a very high order value, average order value, was shop number 1. And then shop number 3 had a very low order value volume, and then also a conversion rate that was a lot lower. So all different variables, but the same approach. Actually, that doesn't work. You need to make real selections that are based on different business strategies. Being ambitious, there's nothing wrong with it, but don't overshoot. If you start advertising too early in way too many countries, asking for trouble, if you're spreading yourself too thin across too many media channels, for example, all those things lead to one media budget that is spread too thin, and it's actually a guarantee for no results. Of course, it's very very sexy to say, like, hey, I'm a founder of an e-commerce and I have been selling internationally and I'm advertising internationally, etc., etc. So that's most of the part where the ambition comes from. But actually, it's better to choose and select your main countries and then start advertising there, and basically catch all the low-hanging fruits, prepare the internationalization, and then move forward with those other countries. Make choices and focus instead of spreading the budget and losing money on those. With the symbolic $500, of course, you can't advertise on 300, 400, 1,000, 30,000 SKUs. It's impossible. You're having low clicks per item, guarantee of hardly any sales. And also very important, you or the algorithm, Google algorithm, won't have sufficient data to learn from. And that's also why the results will not follow. So you really need to make sure that the business strategy is deciding what gets the spotlight and not the Google algorithm. Because if you just put it in one campaign, one feed, it's basically following Google and not the business strategy. If we are in the situation of we need to have cash flow first and fast, of course, we think of the top sellers and the high demand products. How do you find those? If you ask them, most of the times they'll be able to already tell you, like, these products are the best sellers, but it's never a bad thing to check the data. If there is Google Ads data available, you could use the script of it. It's a script, the Revenue Maximizer tiering script, where it shows tiers of revenue tiers, and then along with it, the products that are in this tier. And if you select the highest tiers, in this case, we have 6 products that are responsible for 20% of the revenue. And looking at the ROI, it's also a good ROI in this case, in any case. And then you can move on, spending the $500 to increase these top sellers. So that's most common use of the selection. If there is no Google Ads data, of course, then you can look at the Google Analytics data or the website or the shop data itself. What I tend to do is use the Pareto rule in that case, so meaning that you only need a few products to get already a big chunk of the revenue growth. So you want to mostly make impact on what you do. Most of the cases people know about this, but let's say you have a client that tells you, okay, but the best sellers already sell well without the ads. And on top of that, they are hard to restock. And there's all those other SKUs that aren't selling yet. We don't have any proper SEO running. We don't have large social media campaigns. So none of those channels are driving traffic to the non-bestsellers. I'd like you to advertise on the non-bestsellers. In these cases, what I would also tell them is to push back a little bit, because if your bestsellers are hard to restock, that's really a painful situation for a business, because you are really depending on the moments when you have stock to sell well. So that's a fragile situation. And then to find those non-bestsellers, what I do is check the next 20% that drive the next 80% of the revenue. Because you don't have any data, no Google Ads data, no SEO data, in this big chunk of products, how do you find the high search value products? Well, what I do in that case is that I download all the products in there from the product feed. I check the titles of the product feed. And I check the titles of product feed because I need to know if the titles do indicate the product themselves to have a proper product name in it. And if they do so, I upload it in the keyword planner. There is actually a second button that I displayed here. If you click on it, you see in blue a place where you can upload a CSV file. And there you can upload a lot of product names and then find the search volume of all those products instead of having to type all those manually per 10, I think, or 15. This is a fast volume, how you say that, solution. And then you get your search volumes, and then you can check, okay, what are you going to choose? What you also could do, because you have the monthly data as well, you could check which of those products are high volume, but also steady in volume, because that's going to be the evergreen revenue growers. And then next to it, you will have also the seasonality products. So you can make also an educated decision on those products.
It doesn't always work, but you can, if you're in I'm trying to think of a market. Oh yeah, musical equipment. We did this, oh blimey, it's 2025, isn't it? Maybe 9 years ago. But we had a small, essentially a physical shop who wanted to go online. But they had like a little warehouse. So they were doing a bit of mail order. Yeah, mail order. Not e-commerce, but actual brochures and mail order. And they obviously competing in a market where price was everything, because you're selling branded gear. You're selling a Yamaha keyboard or a Fender guitar or whatever. I could do that. I could buy a load of keyboards and sell them on the internet. So there's no USP. But they did get a really good return custom. They often found that if someone bought a keyboard, they'd buy something else, or they keep coming back for more. I think they did they did online guitar lessons as well. They had loads of little things that they could add to it. Anyway, long story short, we started them off with essentially their own Amazon Prime week, but it ended up being like 2 months of just quite not hard discounts, but everything on discount, free shipping, just to get find out what really sold, and B, build up a customer base for them they could remarket to, email market, get them to leave reviews. They didn't lose money, but they didn't really make a lot of money. So it was kind of busy work, but it was just to get them off the ground. So if you find a prospect in this position, don't be afraid to use the angle going into a busy market of, you know what, we'll just run a discount for a month or so. It's another angle. If none of these tactics work, then go to the market and see what the market turns into a bestseller, essentially.
Basically, it turns out in making choices and making tactical choices where you know why you make the choice, why you want to do it. That's going to bring you pretty far. In the same corner of finding new revenue. Let's say the bestsellers are highly competitive, very expensive, in CPA, etc., etc. So basically, you don't want to go into the bestsellers. What's also interesting is the niche products that don't sell often yet, but show early signals of success. Of course, most of the times you can only find those products when you're already advertising 1, 2, maybe 3 months. Then you'll start to see those little gems of opportunities. In this case, you see the volumes are not that big because the red is the sales, the purchases. It goes from, let's say, 1 or 2, and then it increases to 3 to 6, and also the frequency increases a little bit. But those were products that actually were researched by another search term that we didn't expect it. And the original product name didn't sell. If we used the original product name, it didn't sell quite as good. But then when we started to advertise and use that other search term, which was something totally different, then actually we could really capture those volumes. There was also another test that we did. It was for frozen meals delivered at home. And so they had lasagna and lots of meals. They also had a very niche meal, which was, they called it a morning meal. Not for the morning and the evening, but the morning, like in grief, when a loved one passes away. What you could do was, as a friend, for example, you could order them and gift them a morning meal, which was a package of 4 or 5 meals, and then some sweeteners, and then also a handwritten card to indicate that you care about them, etc. The demand there was not high at all, but there was demand. People were searching for it, and the other suppliers were basically non-existing. And they did a test, and they couldn't get all the other products sustainable, profitable, but that one product they could make it profitable. So they decided after the test to stop all the rest and then just do the Google Ads for this one. And it gives them at this moment a steady flow of income without a lot of more effort. So you could find all those little spots, and it's actually what you are doing over there is actually using small budgets to test little niches. And Patrick Gilbert, the author of Digital Advertising Do or Die, actually called those the dark horses, which are the niche products that don't sell often yet, but show early positive signals. And you start testing them, see what works, what doesn't work, and then start growing those little products, because if it's a success, you can move them to the winner campaign and then start a new test for search for those other gems, advertise on those. If it works, also continue to put it in the winners, and then you start growing in a more controlled way, instead of opening up the budget on your total feed in one ad group or an asset group, depending, because then Google will really decide where you advertise on, and that might not always land well. So this is a more structured approach of increasing the revenue. And then the overstock, and most of the times they will not tell you about it because it's not in their scope of advertising, etc. but it might be interesting to bring it to their attention. There's one condition, of course, those products there needs to be a demand for it, because if they overstocked on a product that nobody wants, then we're right back at the beginning, what Ed told us. If there's no demand, the price is not too high, or the offer is totally off, then it will not work. But if all those things are marked correctly, then you can activate a dedicated shopping campaign at those overstock SKUs and check if you can change the feed title or the product titles. Something sales related, cheap, discount, limited stock, last chance, final day, etc. You can also opt in for a search campaign. A countdown at customizer might be an interesting feature there. And then if you use the PMAX, there is a retargeting, of course. So there you could add a custom segment like viewed the items but didn't purchase, to just make them purchase. Last but not least, the feed quality is really important. It's not because you activate the ads that it's gonna work. This is a screenshot of the impressions of search terms for a specific campaign that we were testing. And then the red ones are the conversions, the purchases, and you see the moment where we changed the product title in the feed. We changed it with a proper product name, and also with the search term information. And overnight, you see the search terms of the bad search terms dropping, going away. It's a lower volume, but it's the correct volume, it's the right volume, and purchases went up. So it really matters. Of course, the Google categories, sometimes I see that Google categories are not fully filled. So please make sure you do, because it's really the information, the keyword information for Google. And then the out of stocks. So check in your Google Merchant Center for the needs attention products, especially the out of stocks, because this is opportunity cost, is lost potential revenue. It's really a pity that these things occur. So yeah, signal that to the owners. Of course, there's many other problems that can occur, but I think the out of stock is something that really needs the attention of the owner. If you are starting with a test campaign, most of the times you will only have one campaign, maybe two campaigns, but let's suppose one campaign. Don't just throw everything then in one ad group or one asset group. Try to segment the information, especially in shopping, because it will give you a better insight in segmentation of the data, and you can better find where are the opportunities, what are the business learnings, etc. It's harder to report on those learnings if you have everything skewed in one thing. And then, of course, try to see what's working, what's not working, and the working parts. You can establish them in let's say a winner campaign, and then from there move on to start growing on a steady basis.
Oh, goodness me, look at that T-shirt. Thank you for watching the video. Do remember to hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. So if you want even more winning without having to sit through 50 hours of fluff theoretical training videos, I've got good news for you. Whilst Google is killing control, the God Tier Ads framework puts it back in your hands with step-by-step checklists, templates, and operating procedures. Head over to godtierads.com, God Tier Ads, there it is, and always a link somewhere around on the screen. If you enjoyed the video, do hit the like, subscribe, leave a comment if you've got any questions, and see you on the next one. Thank you very much. Goodbye.